Welcome to Public Conscience. This is the anti-corruption program produced by the Progressive Impact Organization for Community Development, PRIMOG. PRIMOG is a civil society group with a mandate to promote good governance, participation, and accountability in Nigeria. I am Adaobio Biabumo, and I'm with Chidose Obunaya.
Welcome to the program.
On Public Conscience on Radio, we seek to evolve a corruption-free society through the amplification of corruption stories reported by our partner media organizations and drawing citizens and government's attention for democratic actions against it. We also promote integrity by focusing on rare cases of the display of honesty by public and private individuals in the course of their normal activities. This program is supported by the MacArthur Foundation.
Today's program will be about nation building and singling out Nigerians who display integrity in their daily endeavors for honor and recognition. You will hear an impressive story of a snack bar operator who displayed integrity by returning money he got from a customer who erroneously overpaid at Kano Airport.
The conversation today will offer you and I the opportunity to reflect on what we must do as citizens to build a society of honest and upright people. It is a test of our inner will to do good all the time, particularly when temptation comes. Be ready to join us through phone and text messages in the course of the conversation. The WhatsApp phone number to send your message is 0902 265 6167. That is 0902 265 6167, and this number is for messages only.
Please begin to send your messages as soon as possible to 09022656167. The numbers to call will be given shortly.
Integrity can be defined as the practice of being honest and showing a consistent and uncompromising adherence to strong moral and ethical practices and principles. According to a British writer and theologian, C.S. Lewis, he said, and I quote, "Integrity is doing the right thing, even when no one is watching." End of quote. You may be a taxi driver, tailor, mechanic, trader, or an employee at a private or public office, or indeed any position you find yourself in. How honest are you with your clients and customers, especially when no one is watching? Do you know that our society will be better if citizens display honesty in their everyday lives? Do you know that if the majority of Nigerians display integrity, our leaders will be less likely to be corrupt?
More often than not, we focus on government officials in our quest to lay blame on the corruption in our society. We forget that the little acts of dishonesty from us every day are cumulative rot reflecting the behavior of public officials.
In focusing on public officials only, we seem to desire to run away from our shadows. But the good news is that some Nigerians who are not even rich are daily displaying integrity in their capacity, and it is worth celebrating.
Some public servants, private individuals, and people we can refer to as ordinary Nigerians continue to stand upright in their area of influence. We will hear from the Director of Network Operations Radio, DAR Communications PLC, Mrs. Ibiyomi Olufowobi, who was blown away by the display of integrity by a snack bar runner, Suleiman Dauda, who returned the excess of 20,000 naira paid for food instead of actual 2,000 naira costs from her bank account.
Mrs. Olufowobi took to her Facebook page to celebrate this rare honesty at a time when things are so difficult. We will also hear from Suleiman Dauda, who will join us from his base in Kano. But joining us in the studio to discuss how integrity can be encouraged is the communication lead at Accountability Lab Nigeria, Prince Chimaroke Chukwuka. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Prince, we must welcome you. It's been a while.
Yes, it has. Thank you so much for having me here today.
So how often do you come across citizens displaying integrity in their little ways these days?
When you read the news these days, there have been a whole lot of them happening here and there. And Yes, I know a lot of people might have been asking if we have a way to maybe recognize them. But what we're doing is to have those names and put them in our database so that we can have them come in, sometime either within the Integrity Icon Award and announce them to the public and celebrate the work that they do. But beyond that, we want to see how we can also work with them long term by saying if they can maybe come in into the coalition of integrity icons or people who have integrity and have displayed this in their way of life or in their workplace or communities where they recently are based. And this way, they can join a discussion forum where they can think around how they can move from personal integrity to institutional integrity, let's assume it works in the workplace, but within the community to see if they can begin to use their life and their experiences to encourage others to do the right thing.
Encouraging others to do the right thing, influencing someone else. But when you say integrity, some people would perceive like it's an abstract word,
Yes.
Doing the right thing. Someone once told me that he went to buy Sachi water, bags of Sachi water with his friend, and on getting to the supermarket, like we call it here, they paid for 5 bags, but the lady said go outside and pick 5 bags. Instead of picking 5 bags, they picked 15 bags of Sachi water because the lady was not watching.
Oh my.
But let's quickly get to Suleiman Daudu, who joins us from Kano. Suleiman Dauda, how are you today?
I'm fine.
We must commend you for returning money that does not belong to you. Well done for that act. Are you still there?
Okay, Suleiman, let's go ahead. What made you return that 20,000 naira mistakenly was deducted from your customer's bank account?
Yeah, the reason why he's selling that money is that the money was not belong to me. And what actually happened is a mistake. So I thank God she was still around, so I firstly went to her. The lady complained and saw her not be offended. It's a mistake. So
How?
I get back to her immediately.
Okay, how much were you supposed to deduct from her account?
The 2,000 naira was supposed to be deducted from her account.
2,000, and you mistakenly deducted 20,000, or she 20,000.
Yes.
Okay, was this your first time of returning money, or do you always return things that do not belong to you?
Yes. I do return what does not belong to me.
Okay.
So what's the motivation behind you returning things that do not belong to you? I mean, you could have taken the money, she did not notice, you were the one who noticed it, and you quickly ran to her. So what motivated you to do that?
The motivation that I have, I believe, taking something that does not belong to you will not help you in this life. That is the best thing for me to do, to return what belongs to that person.
Where did you learn such acts of returning what does not belong to you?
I was born up and brought up with
That way.
a heart like that.
Alright, but how often do you get to see customers pay more than the cost of what they have bought, and have you managed to resist temptations to keep the excess?
Sorry?
Have you come across such temptation of people paying more than they should, and how do you keep away from this temptation?
What? Okay, like to give the customer more than what I was supposed to give them.
Yes, like a customer paying more. How do you keep up with resisting the temptation of keeping this excess?
Yeah, if I come across something like that, I will just set it down and make it amicable with me to put it in order so that it will not result to a shout or quarrel.
Okay, thank you so much. We know that you work at a snack bar. Tell us about your colleagues. Have they been cooperating with you, or have they been discouraging you?
Yeah, a lot of people are like discouraging me, but majority of people are like giving me the good side that I'm doing well.
And you feel good.
Yeah, very good.
Okay. Do you also try to encourage or motivate people around you? If you have a sales boy or girl, do you motivate them to also do the right thing?
Yeah, I have a sales boy, and that's why I'm trying to motivate him to be like me. Because in the process of the incident that happened with him, that 2,000 that goes to 50,000 was his fault. He was the one that did that mistake. So immediately I said, because I didn't go through any transaction. So immediately I said I saw it. So I now talked to him. How much money to work for me from our house? He now said 2,000. And I said, and you now want to return to 80,000. He was surprised when I showed him. So I now rushly went back to her together with him, so that she will know it's a mistake. It's not that maybe he did it purposely.
Okay. Thank you so much, Suleiman Dauda.
Suleiman, the good thing here is that you are teaching somebody how to do good. And I commend you for that. Don't relent in doing this. Keep doing it. Keep transforming the society. God will bless you. That is what I will leave with you. And thank you for talking to us this morning.
Thank you very much.
Okay, you just heard the voice of Suleiman Dauda, who is based in Kano. His sales boy mistakenly deducted 20,000 naira from a customer. Ordinarily, he would have deducted 2,000, but he mistakenly deducted 20,000, and he quickly ran to look for the lady and returned the money. According to him, the money does not belong to me, so why should I keep what does not belong to me? So how often do we get to see individuals return money that do not belong to them?
I mean, Prince, you deal with people every day.
Yes.
And
aside from money, other acts of integrity.
Yes, we must not wait for the mega box to come, the big monies to come. But how often do you get to see people do this?
Well, wanting to start with our integrity icon nominations. As we can see that every year the nominations are increasing. Last year we had over 800 nominations of honest men and women within the public service. This year we had over 1,000 nominations.
Wow, 1,000.
Over 1,000 nominations.
So
And
despite the pervasive corruption, there are still individuals who are doing the right
who are
thing.
doing the right thing, so that for me gives me a lot of hope that there's people out there who are just relentless. Have said to themselves they will not compromise standards, they will continue doing the right thing, whether or not they are being seen or celebrated. And having those records that there are people who still do the right thing, it's a lot of hope for us, and as you say, how often do we see this? The nomination shows us that the numbers are increasing. It means that more people are beginning to tilt.
What was the figure last year?
The figure last year was over 800.
So this year we have 1,000.
Over 1,000. In fact, if I were to go by exact count, it's 1,139 nominations that we received this year.
Is it very impressive?
Yes. And that for us is some big improvement.
Very, very great improvement there. But we'll come back to you to give us full gist about the nomination and all that.
And remember that this program is interactive. The WhatsApp phone line to send your message to is 0902-265-6167. That is 0902-265-6167. What would be your reaction to the conversation? I know the phone lines were buzzing initially, so it's time for you to call in. We know many of you listening out there have stories to tell about incidents of honesty which you were involved or in which way you heard. You can share your stories with us. Would want you to call in. What do you think is hindering some Nigerians from being honest? What are you doing as an individual to encourage the display of integrity in your house, your place of work, and when dealing with your fellow citizens?
Too many unanswered questions there, Dobby.
Recently at the Hajj camp, also in Kano, Bashir Umar, an Air Force man, found a parcel containing $41,000 and returned it. We have seen similar stories from Lagos Airport and in other places around Nigeria. How would you react to all of these stories?
Firstly, I want to say I don't think I've ever been in doubt that we still have good Nigerians. I know when you look at social media, on the news, across various platforms, you hear huge stories of corruption, massive corruption, here and there. And it begins to seem as if that's all that there is within our country. But I can tell you for certain that they are still good men. And the reports that we get of these people are just evidence, that yes, Nigerians are still very amazing people when it comes to upholding integrity. My only concern here is that it seems as if the people who do the good don't seem to get a lot of publicity. And that way it seems as if...
And that's what Accountability Lab does.
That's what Accountability Lab is now trying to do with this icon, to ensure that their stories are amplified, the widest that they can get, And now beyond amplifying the stories is to see that it's not just a story about them. Because like I say this over and over again, there's a function of leadership. Every man, every human who is here on earth has some level of influence.
Sure.
You can say, I'm not a leader in my organization. Yes, but you could be a leader in your home. You could be a leader to your siblings. You could be a leader to your younger cousins, other younger relatives who look up to you, by way of the character that you exhibit. So we say that these people shouldn't just be persons of integrity, but they should begin to influence downwards. Everybody they can influence, begin to encourage them to stand for what is right and do the right thing.
So, Prince, one would say 20,000 naira is too small to measure honesty. What will you say about that?
Let's quickly get to Ibiyemi.
Okay, we have Ibiyemi now.
Could you briefly share with us your experience with Dauda and his colleague at the snack bar who returned your money in Kano?
It was a very funny incident because I was on my way from Katsina back to Lagos, and I was at the airport early, so I was tired, and I decided to have a coffee and biscuit. Sunny had a snack bar with a biscuit, which I bought for 1,006, while 400 naira was for the coffee, which was manned by Suleiman. And I paid, together, that's 2,000 naira. I used my debit card to pay. And they gave me the POS machine, which I entered my key into. For whatever reason, I did not look at the POS. 2,000, I just put in my PIN. They gave me the slip. I didn't take a look at it. I just dropped it in my bag. Meanwhile, my phone was off because I was conserving the battery. So it was shortly after Sani and Suleiman came up to me and told me that Sorry, there has been an error. And I said, what error? Then they showed me that they overcharged me, that Sani mistakenly keyed in 20,000 naira rather than 2,000 naira. I was amazed because they could have gone away with it and I wouldn't have known probably until I switched on my phone. I was amazed because I did not even realize that something like that had happened. And that they actually came to inform me and apologized and offered to refund the money, asking if I wanted cash or electronic transfer. I opted for cash because I didn't have cash on me. And that was why I paid with my POS with my debit card in the first instance. And they just brought the money to me. I was amazed that two young men in today's Nigeria could do that.
And after that, you took to your Facebook to celebrate these young men. What was the reaction from your page?
People were amazed that we still have good people. We still have good Nigerians. Not everything about Nigeria.
So how has this affected you?
It's like a reset of my thinking. That not everybody is bad.
Not everybody is bad.
think twice that, okay, let's start saying the good in us. We are good people by nature.
Okay, thank you so much. Jose, do you have anything to
No,
say?
I must thank you also for bringing these persons of integrity out there on your Facebook page, because if you don't celebrate them, many people will not know that others are some people are doing something great on their sphere of influence. Thank you very much for doing that.
I must tell you also that I went a step further. I told anyone who cared to listen at the airport while I was waiting for my flight about these two guys. And someone told me that it's not new with them, because one of them, someone bought some phone. While I was charging the phone, I forgot the phone, and they followed they spoke with the airline authorities and went into the aircraft, identified the guy, and returned his phone to him. So it means that these guys are filled with integrity.
Wow.
Thank you for
commendable.
bringing
Thank
them
you
to
so
the
much.
fore.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
There's no way she would have known. She did not look at the POS, and her phone, the battery was flat.
So, Prince, you want to say something there?
Yes, your question was, is 20,000 not too small? You know, I'd always said the test for integrity usually begins small, more often than not. You know, it begins with the time where you're sent on an errand to buy something for maybe 1,500, and then you come and you're given 2,000. You come back, and maybe because the person didn't bother asking for the change, you just quickly, oh, he's a big boy, he's a big man, you know, whatever that is. You know, it begins from those areas. You know, by the time you find it difficult to return change from transactions you've been asked to execute.
And this, I'm very sure, would motivate one person or two out there to say, if these people can do this, then I can also do this.
Adobe, we might be having so many unsung heroes out there. Prince, you agree with me about that?
I totally no
agree.
Matter
how small the money is, you know, like you were just explaining, integrity is not about how big or small the money is. The minutest thing you do about you do right.
When no one is
watching.
Because these people would have just gone with the money. There's no way she would have noticed.
Yeah. When
she decided to return her money.
Imagine when she gets to Abuja and you can't, because of 20,000 naira, go back to take another flight.
Okay. Have you ever returned items that do not belong to you? Do you motivate others? Or there are factors hindering you from being a person of integrity? We want you to share your story with us, because you will motivate a person or two to stand up on integrity. At the level of individuals we are getting more and more good reports. Many are happening every day, unreported.
We'd love to hear from you. So, Ada, you were on...
Yeah, okay, I was talking to Prince. The Organization Accountability Lab honors honest and deserving public servants annually. Do you also recognize private individuals like Dauda?
Thank you so much for that question. In fact, I'm always happy when I hear this one. Yes, we do. Though we do not give them an award, we recognize their efforts. You know, I think it was 2 years ago when we flew or brought in some persons who had exhibited characters of integrity within their workplace, within their communities. We brought them in for the Integrity Icon Awards. We celebrated them, and we went ahead. We want to do more with these individuals, because we understand that just because we're focused on the public servant, it may seem as if we have no plans for private sector individuals or other Nigerians who may just run their business or are just citizens doing their own business, you know, on a day-to-day. So what we intend to do is to have a database of these persons, and on the day of the Integrity Icon Awards, announce them, have the crowd applaud them, and also begin to use their stories on our social media pages as well. If possible, have a series of interviews alongside other honest Nigerians, so that people can get to hear their stories. You know, even when we receive nominations, you know, across the nation, we only get to celebrate 5. And it's not that we only have 5 amazing stories. It's just that we take the 5 most amazing, And what we've done over the years now is to now unveil the top 30, because it seems as if within the top 30, when you come in for that selection phase, you are just overwhelmed with a lot of stories, and it's sometimes pitiful that not all of the stories we get to put in a lot of media power around. So we say, as much as we can, the top 30, the persons who get to top 30, those stories need to be heard. Nigerians need to hear that there are men and women in various sectors who are doing amazing work, who are resisting corruption, who are standing for integrity, and refusing to compromise at whatever the circumstance, So
I can relate with the headache you have in choosing persons of integrity, because when you're talking about 1,300 entries, is a whole lot for you to cut down. But does he have those that were not finally chosen to make the 30-man cut or 30 list cut?
Yes.
Doesn't it affect them?
So,
like their psyche, like
I totally
because life sometimes we compete wrongly.
Yes, in fact, there are questions of how do you measure integrity, But let's not jump into that. What we've said we would do right now is, once we've looked at your story and it's amazing, whether you make it to the top 30 or top 50, we are now building what we call a coalition of persons of integrity. So wherever you are, whatever state you're in, we're going to incorporate you into what we call the Integrity Innovation Lab. This is where we bring in people of integrity and have them have discussions within their environs with other citizens, other colleagues at work if they're in work places, and have them begin to share their integrity experience. That way other people will get to hear, other people will join that discussion, and that way they will be more like a clique of integrity champions within those environments or workspaces where they are. But I've always said, this is the way I think. If within a workspace you have more people who are for integrity, the frequency for corruption to happen within those places will be very limited.
Definitely.
You understand? It will be very limited because they know that they have a coalition who are behind them, who would encourage them, who, when they join forces, they can resist corruption within either the public or private sectors.
So talking about resisting corruption, what do you think are those factors that hinder individuals from being persons or people of integrity?
Now I want to be as practical as possible.
Please do.
I think one of the most evident reason is poverty. I do not say this as an excuse, because I feel that if you are a person of integrity or have been brought up under the influence of having people of integrity around you, no matter how hungry you are, you would uphold that character of integrity. But I would dare say, as many Nigerians know, that there's a lot of poverty in Nigeria. And with the way things are skyrocketing, with the way the economic situation is for Nigerians, it at some point begin to make people want to rethink their values. But I will say to everyone out there who has been standing as a person of integrity, please do not bend to the wind. Please do not bend. It could be difficult, but please stand the test of time, because it's going to go beyond you as an individual. Take for instance a father who has been an upright man, and because of hunger or maybe economic situation tend to bend. The pride that the children usually used to command when they go out, or the kind of pride they would work, it will be such that they would no longer have that, and nothing can outlive a legacy of uprightness. It will speak for your children and children. So I would encourage that anybody who is standing should please stand.
No matter what.
No matter what. Please stand.
Matter what.
It could be tough. Please stand.
Okay.
We understand
it
the
could
times.
Be tough. Please stand. The numbers again are 090 30,000 899, 080 998 770, and 0809 40,072. When we talk of corruption, we tend to blame
the
those
high and mighty.
Yes, So now we are discussing integrity, you and I. And I want you to call in. I want you to share your experience. Have you been tempted before? Did you yield? Did you succumb to the temptation? Or you stood your ground like Prince said? You did not give in. You returned that item that did not belong to you. We want you to share your experience with us.
Earlier in his earlier submission, he said the picture you painted was that there's a culture of, if I send you on an errand, you keep the change, you keep the balance, or whatever we call it.
Yeah.
So, and we are talking about the root cause of why are people not, why do we struggle with having many people of integrity? Do you think there's a culture around it in our society?
Sense of entitlement, maybe.
So, everything rises and falls on leadership. As funny as this may sound, if you have someone speaking to you for 30 minutes straight, you can test this out. Maybe when you're home or somewhere, put a group of people together, speak with them for 30 minutes. Be sure you have their attention, and tell them to touch their neck while touching your jaw as the person who's speaking. You will discover that over 70% of the persons who are listening to you, who are good listening to you, would touch their jaw like you're touching. But what the instruction you're given is to touch your neck. What I'm saying is, once you are in a level of influence where people look up to you, more often than not, they are bound to almost do what you do, not what you say. And it happens with children. For those of you who maybe have young children who you train or who you interact with more often than not, when you tell them not to do something and you keep doing it, they would ignore the don't do it, which you said, and begin to try what they see you do.
There are instances where...
You understand?
Okay, let me take this call. Hello?
Hello,
Yes, your name and where you're calling from.
my name is John.
Okay, let's hear you,
I'm
John.
calling from Babalada.
Let's hear you.
Yes. Seen something like that before, but what is just about for me is that there was a man that saw a money dropped from one woman, which is 100,000 naira. So the guy now tried to return the money. But the madam, she says, it's not my money, the money is not my money. I don't have something like that. So the woman now went away. So at the end, the man now came back that, yes, this money belongs to me, it's true. That is our money. So we are working with one man. The man now, I don't know, the woman now told the man that you should help her thank this guy because he saw money for her and he returned the money. So at the end, the man now changed to the guy that see the money and return and send the guy away out of his sight that he's not longer working there again. He should go. How he will return the money back to the owner.
Really?
That the woman, she's rich, so he's not supposed to return the money.
Wow. That's not encouraging for a person who decided to do the right thing, for the man to have sacked him. Okay, thank you so much for your contribution.
You're welcome.
And for such a person, you shouldn't be deterred by that. We have some people who don't allow the action of that man who is desperate, that woman who is desperate to keep what does not belong to her, to change who you are. Because, like Prince said, this stems from our training. Some of us see our father as
Family
role
background.
model. My father is an upright man. You want to live like him. So if you have a good routine, don't allow something sway you to the wrong side.
Prince, you were saying something before the call came in.
Okay, just to add to that person, from that experience, usually standing for integrity comes with its own challenges, but it doesn't mean that you wouldn't have to do the right thing. Because doing the right thing just has its kind of inner satisfaction it gives you. So just staying there, the person who values that character will pick you up, and you will be an asset that they would always rely on.
So you're not doing the right thing because you want to be recognized or because you want to be appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
It's innate.
It's innate. It's the inner pace. It's like saying
It's a default system.
it's a default system. So someone is saying so doing the right thing, for instance. So do I need to pay you to take a bath? When you know you're supposed to take a bath, for instance, do I need to pay you to watch the road properly before crossing? Because you know it's the right thing to do. I don't know if you understand. So just keep doing it because it will save your life. It will keep you. It will give you peace that nobody can toy with. You know. So now to the question of influencing people around us. It's a function of influence. And the one thing I tell parents or anybody who has a level of influence, please do the right thing. Because the truth is, people are watching you. You will think they're not. And we're in a generation where people do what they see you do, not what you say.
So for those parents at home whom someone knocks on your
And
door
then you say,
and
"Tell
you
them
tell
I'm
your
not
little
around."
daughter, tell him I'm not around.
And then he comes back to that daughter to say, lying is not good. Or maybe they come from church or maybe from mosque and says, don't lie. Don't lie. And she's wondering that the next minute you'll say, tell uncle that I'm not around.
But
Tell
we've
him I'm
also
sick.
seen children who go out there and say, my daddy says I should tell you that.
You understand. And funny enough, you may think it's nothing. I mean, they will they would outgrow it. But what you're doing is you're saying it's okay to lie.
And for those who sit at home, oh, sorry, I'm not in Abuja.
In
I'm in
some, maybe it's okay to lie in some circumstances.
You understand?
And very soon, sooner than later, that child will start lying to you.
You
That is
understand?
what happens.
Exactly.
And you you now lie, you know.
Okay, as we begin to wrap up, talked about the selection process for this year.
Yeah.
How thorough is that selection process?
Oh my, it was a whole lot of work. That I must tell you, because we had to train a whole lot of hand to call, to verify these stories, to call colleagues, family members, before we vet those stories. And screening down from 1,000 plus was a hell of work.
So, Prince, you've been really busy.
It's been real busy for the lab.
But I want to get, I was part of the last year. I came for the last year event.
Yes.
What should we and the general public expect this year?
This year, just because I'm not allowed to tell you who was selected.
we're
How
not
big,
asking
how,
you to
what,
mention
are we going to
anything,
hear
no.
those stories that will want to change our life, turn around our mindset almost immediately?
That I can guarantee you, that you would hear stories that you would want to say, oh my God, I mean, if these people can do it, it means that I can. That's one thing I can guarantee, that those stories will go a long way to inspire the younger generation and other people who are leaving to say, if these people can, we can. Because I believe to change Nigeria, it begins with us. It begins with one person. Let's do 1% at a time, 1% at a time. If we all within a small community of influence begin to influence right, which is what we're trying to do with our Integrity Innovation Lab, where we'll bring these people of integrity into a coalition to say, oh, you're not the only one who's doing the right thing. In Kano, there's a Mohammed. In Jos, there's a Sada too. In maybe
and in my hometown,
in
we
your
also have
hometown,
people of integrity.
maybe you can say in all your state, there's a Femi there. We tell them that across Nigeria there are many Nigerians from different ethnic background who are doing the right thing. Because sometimes it can be lonely to think that within your small space, you seem to be the only one. At some point it could become bothersome. But when you have a coalition of people who are from different states, and they say, oh my God, I remember my sister and I remember my brother here who are doing the right thing. And then they begin to have interactions on how to influence their small spaces. Because sometimes I know it can be frustrating to be under and you want to create an institutional change. Don't worry, begin to influence downwards.
The best thing I've heard today is about the coalition that you're building, because it's very, very, very important.
People have said we have a club of corrupt people, us. Now we're going to have a coalition of persons with integrity. But as we
Yes.
begin to wrap up, I'm looking at the icons in the last 3-4 years.
Yes.
They are not youths. Is it that we don't have a youth out there who is a person of integrity?
We do. I think.
Or they are not yet employed? They are still moving around with their
In
CVs.
fact, I think maybe that is one of the factors.
Maybe you should think about the private sector. That is where you get the youth.
Who knows?
But
Who knows?
oh,
Maybe we would.
well, thank you very much. Our time is far spent.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
really must go.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we want to urge you to visit the news page of our website, primognews.org. That is primognews.org. For all the details of our reports and interview, visit our website, primog.org, to get all the information about Primog.
And you can watch our videos on Primog TV. That is our YouTube channel. I want to encourage you to please subscribe to get reminders when we have a new post. We sincerely appreciate our guests, Suleiman Dauda, our shining example, who spoke to us from Kano, and also the Director of Network Operations, Radio, DAR Communications, PLC, Ibiyemi Olufowobi, and the Communication Lead at Accountability Lab Nigeria, Prince Chimaroke Chukwuka, the handsome young man. Thank you for being on our program today.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Public Conscience is supported by the John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation, committed to building a more just, fervent, and peaceful world. Get more information about the foundation on its website, macfound.org.
Join us again here next week for another episode of Public Conscience. And remember to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Official Primog. I am Chidozie Ogbonnaya.
Remember that you can give us information or hint about corrupt acts through our phone 0902 265 6167 or info@primog.org. And for you out there, I want to encourage you to uphold the tenets of integrity. We sincerely need people of integrity in our country. I am Adaobi Obiabumo. Stay safe and show love to somebody out there. Thank you.